Hello and welcome to the Total Mental Performance Podcast, the one and only mindset podcast dedicated to helping fitness entrepreneurs and coaches master their mindset, giving you insider access to industry leaders around their psychology, their campfire stories, and the mindset required to be successful in this business. I'm your host, Kieran O'Neill, mental performance coach and founder of Total Mental Performance, the world's fastest growing specialist mindset service dedicated to the fitness industry. So without further ado, let's lean in and listen.
Hello and welcome to the Total Mental Performance Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Jack Jaques. Jacques is the head of JJ Transformations and he has been through our Evolution program. Very driven young man. I'm very excited to bring him on and ultimately just share some of the knowledge and wisdom that he's picked up. Jack, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much for having me on, Kieran. Absolute pleasure.
We're going to have fun. So we actually have quite an interesting shared story.
We do.
Which goes back to football.
We do.
Run me through that.
So, I think football has always been an avid passion of mine, probably since about 5-6 years old. And I think every boy's dream is to be a professional footballer. And I think that was the same with mine. And I think I kind of run all that course up until around about 15, 16, until I was kind of released and I was told, you're not good enough. And I think everything that I've been working on with Kieran has been stemmed around that kind of failure from football, thinking I'm not good enough, and that has directly correlated into my mindset day to day. And I think I've carried over all those kind of previous experiences into how I kind of function day to day. And honestly, I'm just going to shout out Kieran here just because the impact that he's had on me, both personally, professionally, individually, over the past, let's say, 5-6 months now, have been absolutely unparalleled. And I would never be in the position that I would have been because of Kieran. So before we even kick on to the big things, I just want to give a big shout out to you, mate, because, you really have played a massive role in my progression over the past, 3 to 6 months. It's been amazing.
Mate, that means well. Thank you. Tell everyone what it is you actually do.
So I am an online coach, as most coaches that come on this podcast. And what I try and stem it from is it is body transformations that I do, but I try and do a lot more than that. So when somebody comes to me in a position where they are now, whether it is frustration, whether it is they haven't been able to achieve what they want to achieve, I want to take them from a position where they are now, build a vision for them to put them to where they want to be, both physically and mentally. And I think we're trying to do a good job. And I think we have built some incredible systems, with the team, and we are producing world-class transformations now, what I think anyway, on a week-to-week and monthly basis. It's mainly based around kind of young males, really, similar to positions that I've been in before. And we kind of build them up, give them that confidence that they need, and really give them that structure and discipline in order to achieve those kind of results that they're looking for.
And how did you get into coaching?
So I was 18 years old at university, and I was looking for a part-time job at the time. And I handed out my CVs just to look into some part-time student income. And I actually came across a gym in Liverpool, which is a body transformation gym. I just thought, I'm going to hand my CV in. They got back to me. And before I knew it, I was working full-time as a PT. And within 2 or 3 months, I was doing 40-50 sessions a week alongside, doing university, studying sport and exercise science at Liverpool John Moores University. And it all kind of stemmed from there, really. I did 3 years as a one-to-one personal trainer alongside my sport and exercise science degree. I was probably doing, a stupid number of sessions really alongside doing the degree as well. But I think it was what I loved. I found a real passion for it at 18. I was massive into the gym, massive into health and fitness. Was probably still doing a little bit of football at the time, but that completely stopped. And I literally just did pursue, on one-to-one personal training, then obviously soon to become online coaching a few years later down the line. But it all stemmed from the passion to help people, I think. And I think that, I didn't even know I had it in me, to kind of help people or kind of coach people, like we did at one-to-one PT. And I think it was amazing. I'd kind of come across that it just sat right with me. And it was like, this is what you're meant to do, if that makes sense. And it was honestly amazing, doing 3 or 4 years one-to-one personal training is probably the best thing that I ever did alongside my degree. Yes, I kind of worked myself into the ground and people might look at me a bit stupidly and say, why are you doing all this work? But I think they were the best years of my life, doing the degree, doing obviously the one-to-one personal training, all the hours of that. It was incredible. And I did find my true passion probably at a very young age of 18 years old.
Yeah, for sure. And run me through what the business looks like today, because an online training business is very different to a face-to-face personal training business.
Yeah, so we are now working with, as a business, there's 3 coaches we've got. So I've just hired a new one, and I have 2 coaches, 2 marketing staff, and we currently coach around 105 people as a brand. And we just try to do every single bit that we can to give every single ounce of effort into our clients to produce the best possible result. I want any one of our clients to kind of come to us with any issue, any problem, and us to be able to give them the tools to solve that problem themselves. And it's going really, really well. I couldn't have asked for a better group of individuals that I'm currently working with to kind of drive the brand and business forward, but also we're hopefully making quite a big change to a lot of these people's lives.
100%. And it's quite interesting because there's going to be a lot of coaches that are watching this podcast that are on the gym floor. They want to go online. They don't know whether to cut the umbilical cord and go all in or whether phase themselves across. So based on your experience, what did that look like for you, and what would you advise those coaches?
So I would always give yourself a safety net. I think I've always done stuff pretty safely. And that's probably through not knowing what was going to happen with the online. Originally, it just started out as a bit of a part-time side thing. And then as soon as your kind of online income is probably or is approaching what you're doing one-to-one personal training, that's when you probably could make the jump. But all I would say to a lot of personal trainers is it's completely different. It's very, very different being on the gym floor and running an online business. You have to manage social media. That is now your full-time job alongside serving people in a very, very different way. So I'd make sure that your systems and kind of how you approach your day-to-day running to your business are in place. That it's actually what you want to do and is your passion for moving into the online space, because it is, as much as online coaching is great, I'm probably sat behind a laptop or computer screen 12, 14 hours a day. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. You might be in Dubai, you might be having great days off, but there is a lot of kind of behind screen time. And if you are that person that does like people interaction, it probably isn't the best thing to go down. Yes, obviously it's fantastic. You can work with a lot more people. You might be able to get, even greater results, but you have to make sure that it's the right time for you at that career. And I think I was probably in a position where I was really, really enjoying online coaching. I still love one-to-one personal training. I still, it's a massive passion of mine, and I probably would enjoy it now. But you have to make that decision based on what you want to do rather than what everyone else is doing. And that's what I'd always say to kind of any online coach that, has asked me that before on Instagram, for example. So that's probably my biggest, kind of.
It's definitely a different beast. An offline coaching business and an online coaching business. I think what coaches don't realize is that you're spending a lot of time by yourself, behind a screen, sending lots of messages. And like you said, the delivery of coaching is very, very different. And the mental challenges that come with that are very, very different. Often there's a lot more comparison. Sure, you'll compare yourself on the gym floor, but when you see the multitude of coaches out there, it's really easy for coaches to get stuck in their own head. If they don't like that cerebral challenge of how do I set up systems, how do I set up calls, how do I set up marketing, how do I set up structure, they're going to find that really, really hard. Run me through some of the mental challenges that you found.
Personally, probably just self-belief more than anything. Obviously, my business scaled pretty quickly. It was pretty overwhelming. Moving to Dubai is probably, you have the best coaches around. You've got some of the best physiques around. And I think it can be quite challenging because you're going to compare yourself to other coaches. But what Kieran did with me, you have to identify your own genius. Potentially you are the right person to lead your clients. You have to have this self-belief and you have to be a leader to clients, or you're never, ever going to succeed. And I think one thing for me was that, yes, I was comparing myself potentially to other coaches in the industry, but also I had this fear of failure. And like we just spoke about with the football, then I put a cage around my box. I put a cage around myself that wasn't allowing me to kind of progress in the way that I wanted to. I didn't know why. Obviously me and Kieran sat down, we had a coffee, we discussed some of the reasons, and it was pretty clear, that I'd had this self-limiting belief around me that wasn't allowing me to progress. And the tools that kind of Kieran's given me now over the past few months have enabled me to kind of see past that, grow, and develop both as an individual, but also as a business leader as well. And I'm finding now that I'm communicating a lot more better with my clients. I'm more of a leader. And I don't have this kind of cage around me. I don't have this fear of failure or fear of going backwards. And I think that was a massive part of it, because I'd kind of grown very quickly, potentially at a young age. It was very overwhelming. It was kind of like that maybe you are doing a bit too better for like where you are right now, and it was hard to overcome. There's been a lot of kind of look into my past around obviously my fear, like football, for example, how I'd failed in that, and I think that had a massive transfer over to maybe in my online coaching, my profession, maybe in my physique as well. And I just put a box around me, and I think probably a few of you listening to this now were maybe in a similar situation. Maybe you have had things in the past that have kind of knocked you back. Maybe you've had failed in a certain area, but that doesn't mean, that you're going to have this kind of limiting belief around you for the rest of your life. So if you are in need of help, you need to reach out to somebody, or you need to kind of identify that problem early on, so it's not going to stem to, you halting your progress further down the line.
Exactly that. And that's not even just with TMP. That's reaching out to friends, family, colleagues, industry contacts. We all have a solid support network, and we've been very lucky to cultivate that. But that requires work. And I don't think enough coaches think they can do it on their own, and they do the bunker mentality where shit's starting to hit the fan and they go, I'll just work harder and I'll sort of keep myself to myself and I'll work my way out of it. Then going into burnout, going into stress, going into overwhelm, going into anxiety, when actually just learning to raise your hand is such a powerful tool.
I think a lot of coaches in the industry might be the best coach that they can be, but unless they have this mindset in the correct place of where it needs to be to function optimally, both as a coach, but also as a business leader as well, you're never going to see that kind of rate of growth. And I don't think it's spoke about enough in the industry. I think probably a lot of coaches that listen to this have had self-doubt. We've all had, kind of that self-belief issue in us, which is completely normal. And we need to kind of normalize that within the industry. We aren't all robots. You are going to have self-doubt. You're going to have wins. You're going to need to know when to balance your emotions as well. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I've taken from working with yourself is you're going to have up days, you're going to have down days, but how you respond on those down days is probably what's going to determine your success in the future. Because if you can still function optimally on those times when you are going through a bit of despair or you've had a few clients drop off, how you are in that moment and how you manage your emotions is ultimately what's going to dictate your success in the future, and isn't going to be, your deciding future there and then. But I think one thing that I've kind of noticed with you is even when I've had those down days, even when I've had, when I've had clients drop off, when I've had kind of things go wrong in my personal life, for example, my ability to manage my emotions in that given scenario is a lot better. And I think that probably has been the catalyst, in order to do that, to kind of see that progression. I'm able to bounce back a lot more quickly, and having that kind of somebody to speak out to, whether it is Kieran, whether it is a friend, I think if you can communicate your feelings and emotions a lot more, it's not you just going through it. I think if we kind of got together as a coaching community a lot more and we kind of express these issues, you'd probably find that a lot of people are in a similar boat. And I think we should completely normalize this kind of, the mindset issues that we are all going to face inevitably at some point within our journey. When is completely person dependent.
That's it. That's exactly why we built this podcast. That's exactly why we built the academy. The TMP Academy is for coaches that are at that 2 to 5K mark, some of them 5 to 10, but ultimately trying to pick up those tools to get structure in their diary. Not enough coaches have structure. So they'll do check-ins every single day. They'll do client responses every single day. And in fact, structure is something that we worked on a lot for you.
Yeah, we have. I think my issue is that all the time I have to be on all the time. There's not really a day off. And that's what I think the biggest thing with you, I don't think I had a day off, for a good 12 months, maybe 18 months before we started working together. So if you can categorize when you're working and when you're not, it's going to make you more creative, more productive, and you're actually going to serve your clients to the much higher level if you are scheduling downtime. We aren't all robots. As much as you think you can work, there is going to be a time where you think, maybe I need to pull back a bit, because you will start seeing those periods of potentially overwork and fatigue. And you know what? It's probably better to take the time off. Like we have 2 scheduled sessions now, don't we? Where we have the Saturday completely off the work phone. On a Wednesday afternoon, I'll take time for King time as well. And you'll actually notice that you're more productive because of that. And I think we should, again, not idolize this kind of, yes, hard work is important, and hard work is never, ever going to be, you need hard work to get to where you want to be, ultimately in anything that you do in life. But unless you have time for downtime, relaxing, chilling, you're never, ever going to be able to perform at the highest level for your clients, for yourself, and you're never going to see the progress that you want. So I think the biggest thing that I did in my business was having that downtime, Saturdays off, Wednesday afternoon, whenever it may be, taking time to be actually present rather than kind of in the motions all the time on my phone, replying to clients, trying to be the best coach that I could be. I think, you telling me that and giving me that structure was probably a very, very simple thing to say, but it's had the biggest difference in my productivity, my time management, and my ability to lead my clients in the way that I wanted to.
So what does your actual week look like now?
So I'll have 3 check-in days with clients. So I'll start on a Sunday. I'll do mainly coaching for, let's say, Sunday until, let's say, Tuesday afternoon. I'll have my Wednesday as kind of a lie-in as such. I'll have that as my rest day as well. I'll have my King time on my Wednesday afternoon. Thursday, Friday is my time to be productive. It's my time to create new things for my clients. It's my time to, kind of drive the business forward and business development. Because as much as obviously being in the business is important, the only way that I'm going to go forward is kind of removing myself out and doing things to drive the business forward, whether that be from a marketing standpoint, whether that be from content creation for both my clients, for my social media. It allows me time, kind of having those 3 check-in days at the start to mainly focus on coaching. Yes, I'm going to be in and out of check-in, obviously messages and just getting back to people for the other periods of the week. But if I have my time for creativity, which I think was a massive blocker for me initially, and I have time to really drive the business forward, that allows me to progress in the long run as well.
There's a really interesting book called The Luck Factor, and it's by a guy called Richard Wiseman, and they studied luck. And what they were studying was, why are some people luckier than others? And they actually realized that luck was a mindset and a series of behaviors. And there was so many fascinating insights in that. I'd really recommend everyone to read it. And I'll send you a copy once you're done with Jack Pransky's Somebody Should Have Told Us. And one of the things that he noticed was that lucky people spot more opportunities. And how can you spot opportunities if you've got your head in the dashboard and you're just completely stuck behind the laptop, and then when you're meant to be taking time off, you're actually sending messages or whatever? If you look at some of the top entrepreneurs on the world, they have downtime. They really are slowing down. I was at my coach, Kirk Miller's event. He had the Built to Last Dubai event literally last weekend. And one of his clients and friends is the right-hand man to Richard Branson. And you can imagine I'm sat there like, oh my God, I've got so many psychology and mindset questions to ask, but I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be a dick. So I sort of waited for him to talk about it. And then somebody else asked, and I was like, okay, cool. I was just sort of listening and learning. And ultimately, if you think about that island that he's got, he's there and he's able to take that downtime. So when the whole world is racing around, he's slowing down. He can look at a macroeconomic perspective and go, what the hell is going on out there? What's happening? But as coaches, as entrepreneurs, as business leaders, you can't do that if you're on. It just doesn't work. So that structure piece is so important for coaches. And that's why we've built that course in the TMP Academy for 3 key points. Number 1, structure. Know what you're doing, when you're doing it, when you're off. Number 2, overwhelm, managing anxiety, managing stress, being able to journal, being able to process. And then number 3 is identity. And I think that's the crux of some of the work that we've done together, is really shifting out of imposter syndrome, comparison, insecurities, fears, doubts. We're going to have them all the time. Like you said earlier, we're going to have days where we're up, we're going to have days that we're down. But the trick is to not identify with that. If you're feeling down, you're having a bad time, your emotions are just like the stock market. They're going to be up, they're going to be down. But if you look at a stock over 12 months, over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, we actually just want to see the general stock trending up. And as long as the general stock is trending up, yeah, sure, there's some low days, but if those low days are higher than they were a year ago, then generally the stock is still performing and we're still growing. But it's easy to get caught up in fear and doubt and going, oh my God. You can change your relationship with fear and doubt, especially imposter syndrome. That's a really big one. If you can change your relationship with that and just recognize that when that pops in, that's a sign that you're at your edge. That's a sign that you're going into new territory. And every single person that's gone into new territory has experienced that. Yeah. The difference is changing your relationship with that. It's not, I'm an imposter. It's, oh, I have this feeling and maybe it's in my chest, maybe it's in my head, wherever it is. And that's coming up and that's letting me know I'm on my edge. And this is a sign that I'm doing the right thing. And if you can disconnect and treat imposter syndrome or comparison and things like that, going, I'm actually just leaning into my edge, that's where things get really fun.
Yeah, definitely. I think the big thing in this industry is consistency. If you're able to perform consistently at a high level, over the course of like you said, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, it's not a game where you want to be in it for a short term. You need to be performing at a very high level for your clients if you're going to get the best results possible over the course of the year consistently. And like you've just said there, if you're able to take downtime Wednesday, Saturday, yes, you're having 2 days off, but it's absolutely so essential for your recovery and your ability to perform at the highest possible level. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I've probably taken, as well as obviously my ability to manage my emotions. Like you've said there, if we can consistently perform at the highest level, it's only going to trend upwards. If you're doing the things that you need to do every single day and you can consistently get them done every single day, there's only one way forward.
That's it. It's the marathon, not sprint metaphor. And I always ask clients, are you going to sell this business in 2 to 3 years? Because I coach business leaders that are looking to exit their business in 3 years. And they're on, and they've got to work, and they're scaling software companies, and it's a completely different energy. It's a completely different environment. I've only spoken to maybe 3 coaches that have said, I would consider selling this in 3 years. But even so, it's not, I have to sell this in 3 years, or I need to sell this in 3 years. It's, I got an offer in 3 years, I'll think about it. So it's when you realize that, are you in this for the long haul? Are you doing this because you love this and you enjoy it? Or are you trying to burn yourself out? And what's the point? Slowing down to speed up. Like you said, you dropped me a WhatsApp. He's like, creativity. We spoke about it in a session. And that was when we said, oh, slow down. As you start to slow down, all those ideas started bubbling.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
So what do you struggle with now? Because you're in a really good spot. But people are going to see you sort of being in Dubai, scaling your business, and it's easy to sort of think, well, once I'm there, I'll be happy. Once I'm there, things will be perfect. But you're still going to find things hard.
Yeah, I think once you hit one goal, you know, I think you're just going to move on to the next. I think there's never a point of that end goal, and the more I kind of potentially achieve, you know, a milestone, for example, the more you realize that it's not the milestone that you're chasing, it's actually the process that you're actually involved in. And the fact that you can continue progressing is probably the most important thing, whether that's just starting out your online coaching or whether you maybe done it for many, many years. I think we're all chasing this one thing and you probably don't realize, and that's the whole journey. That's the whole kind of progress that you're putting in day to day. And as long as you are doing the things that you need to be doing, I think, you know, as long as you have work ethic and you can take downtime when possible, you're only going to keep moving forward. And that's probably the most important thing. Is it's not the end result and the milestone that you kind of want to get towards. Trust me, you're never going to be happy. There's always something that we're going to be chasing, that's progress. But I think if you can kind of get, you know, kind of deep into the journey and you actually love what you do day to day, that's probably the most important thing.
That's it. So tell me, what does total mental performance mean to you?
I think for me, it's the ability to kind of handle my emotions in any scenario, whether that be on an up day, whether it be on a down day. It's having this level playing field and my ability to bounce back to kind of setbacks, but also to kind of balance myself in kind of situations where I'm doing well as well. Because I know there's going to be up days, I know there's going to be down days, but as long as I can continue taking one step forward and I can balance my emotions in a given scenario, I'm going to keep progressing and I'm going to be happy and I'm going to be not overwhelmed at the kind of position that potentially I would have been in 3 to 6 months ago.
That's it. And you think about that younger Jack, the one that you went back to and had that conversation with to help break through that glass ceiling. With what you know now, that one that was afraid of failure from the football, what would you share with him?
I'd probably just share to him that as long as you keep working hard, as long as you try your best, you know, that's all that anyone can ask of you. You know, no one's ever going to put any pressure on you to succeed. As long as you know where you want to go and as long as you can do the daily actions that are required to take you to where you want to be. Yes, there's going to be up days. Yes, there's going to be down days. But as long as you keep moving forward and taking one step at a time, you will move forward. You know, everything will be okay. You know, it's this kind of overwhelm that you're going to be in. You know, it's not going to last forever. You know, you are going to be in it for a short period and then you might have a great period. But as long as you keep moving forward, as long as you can balance your emotions in the scenario, you're going to be okay.
Love that, mate. Absolutely love that. Well, look, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure. And you've got a huge, huge future ahead. And I'm really excited to see you blossom and grow and continue to scale.
Thank you very much, mate. Pleasure.
Awesome. So, guys, drop us some love on our Instagram. Please do share the podcast. We're trying to get this out to as many coaches as possible. Feel free to leave any comments and feedback. And keep tuning in. And we'll see you all next week. Boom.
Easy.
Smashed it, mate.
Order, mate. Thank you.
Good job. Yeah, loved it.